What is the story of George Santos, and how did it become a story of mistruths?
So thank you for having me, Caitlin. I think it's important that America understands, that a lot can be said, a lot can be done, but that people should be judged on their actions and not by trial by fire through the media, which is what I've experienced for the last couple of weeks.
Now, there are new accusations that George Santos, who was just elected to represent New York in Congress in this past election, has actually been lying extensively about his own past. Now,
along with probes of his campaign finances, even of allegations he stole checks as a teenager in Brazil. With pressure.
Well, Caitlin, look, I come from a humble beginning. I've always said that. I grew up in abject poverty in Jackson Heights in Queens, in New York City. People like me aren't supposed to do big things in life. And when we do, it disrupts the system. And I know that a lot of people want to create this narrative that I faked my way to Congress, which is absolutely categorically false. I'm not a facade. I'm not a persona. I have an extensive career that I worked really hard to achieve. And I'm going to deliver from my experience because I remain committed in delivering results. I've built ground up a career through experience and through knowledge and through self-education. And,
Santos acknowledges that he, quote, embellished his resume by saying that he graduated from Baruch College, but he didn't. Now, Santos has also admitted he never actually worked for Citigroup and Goldman Sachs, even though his website suggested that he did.
I've made my sincere apology multiple times. I earlier said it, that I thoroughly apologize for lying about my education and embellishing the resume. I've made that very, very clear. I was going to say, look, it was a bad decision, poor judgment. I felt the need to do it because I thought that without a diploma, I'd be looked down on and less than the other people. That's at me.
What would you say, George, that you would have done differently?
I wouldn't have lied about the education. I would have just fought like hell to get that nomination and to be the...
But in that same sentence, you've also said that you don't believe you would be sitting in this chair right now as Congressman George Santos if you didn't lie.
It's catch-22, but if I can do it all over again, I would change that one aspect and I just fight harder.
The results that people are looking for are called into question when you tell blatant lies, not embellishments. And this is, I think, one of the biggest concerns, Congressman-elect, is that you don't really seem to be taking this seriously. You've apologized. You said you've made mistakes, but you've outright lied. A lie is not an embellishment on a resume. You said you worked at Goldman Sachs and Citigroup, but they've said, we've got no record of this guy working for us. You've said you've gone to and graduated from these universities, but they've said, well, we've got no record of that. These are blatant lies, and it calls into question how your constituents and the American people can believe anything that you may say when you are standing on the floor of the House of Representatives, supposedly fighting for them. That's the real issue here.
Well, look, I agree with what you're saying. And as I stated, and I continue, we can debate my resume and how I worked with firms such as Goldman and Citigroup.
Is it debatable or is it just false? What does the word integrity mean to you?
Well, Tulsi, thank you for having me. To answer your question, integrity is very important. And like I said to the New York Post, embellishing my resume was a mistake.
What does it mean, though? What does it mean? Because the meaning of the word actually matters in practice.
Of course, it means to carry yourself in an honorable way. And I made a mistake. And I think humans are flawed, and we all make mistakes, Tulsi. I think we can all look at ourselves in the mirror and admit that once in our life we made a mistake. I'm having to admit this in national television for the whole country to see, and I have the courage to do so because I believe that in order to move past this and move forward and be an effective member of Congress, I have to face my mistakes, and I'm facing them.
The thing is, Congressman-elect, integrity means, yes, carrying yourself with honor, but it means telling the truth, being a person of integrity. And
where do you draw the line between right and wrong? And as a public office holder, is there any scenario in which you feel it is okay to lie?
No, I don't think lying is excusable ever, period, right? There's no circumstance, especially if you're legislating for the American people right now. So what I might have done during the campaign does not reflect what is being done in the office.
And did the exaggerations become larger?
You'd have to define exaggerations.
One of the questions that really probably hits home to a lot of people is are you Jewish? We've got a letter that your campaign sent out earlier this year, which reads as follows. As a proud American Jew, I've been to Israel numerous times for educational, business, and leisurely trips. You said there in that letter that you are, quote, a proud American Jew. How do you explain that?
My heritage is Jewish. I've always identified as Jewish. I was raised a practicing Catholic. I think I've gone through this. Even I've not being raised a practicing Jew. I've always joked with friends and circles, even in the campaign, I'd say, guys, I'm Jewish. Remember, I was raised Catholic. So look, I understand everybody wants to nitpick at me. I think it's amazing that I have to sit here and be spoken down to on a regular basis, yet again, by the media.
And it's dominated headlines on the Hill. NewsNation speaking exclusively with a Brazilian performer who claims Santos was a drag queen. Santos is now taking to Twitter, calling out what he calls, quote, outrageous claims from the media. Of course,
new allegations against George Santos surfacing Thursday. This photo posted on the Instagram account of a popular Brazilian drag queen who told ABC News she met the embattled congressman in 2005, saying that he too performed as a drag queen under the name Katara Ravache. It's something Santos firmly denies via Twitter, saying the accusation that he is a drag queen or performed as a drag queen is categorically false.
So I don't understand where these allegations come from. Oh, George Santos lives in a fantasy world or whatever it is that they're trying to allude there, because it's just people who know me know that that's just not the case.
Brazilian drag queen who shared the photos and was allegedly friends with Santos in an exclusive interview telling NewsNation today.
He's always been a liar, but he used to lie about silly things. What he did in the U.S. is not cool.
User layered images of George Santos over his drag alter ego, Katara Ravache, and you'll notice that his teeth and chin line up perfectly.
It's not a drag queen in Brazil, guys. I was young and I had fun at a festival.
And there it is.
So my name is Anthony DeVolder. I'm a New York City resident. I've recently founded a group called United for Trump, so if you guys want to follow, that would be awesome. My question's directed for both Blair and Brandon. Well, Brandon's an idol to all of us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But Blair, I have a question. How do you think that as a trans woman and a conservative, you can help educate other trans people from not having to follow the narrative that the media and the Democrats put forward? And how can Brandon incorporate that into Walkaway in more in depth?
But he has yet to address these newly obtained immigration records by ABC News that show his mother wasn't in the U.S. on 9/11, when Santos says she was in the South Tower.
It's the latest in a list of allegations and self-admitted lies told by the Republican representative.
Still expecting to be on any committees?
Yes, I am.
That are now plaguing the freshman's first few weeks on Capitol Hill. Fabricated stories from claiming his mother was inside the World Trade Center during the September 11th terrorist attacks, when records show she was in Brazil, to allegedly using fake names in college for online fundraisers, to saying his grandparents fled the Holocaust, then denied claiming to be Jewish, calling himself a Catholic.
He has essentially pretended to be a biracial Ukrainian, Belgian, Brazilian volleyball champion and brain cancer survivor, whose mother died twice, including on 9/11, whose ancestors survived the Holocaust, whose employees died in the Pulse mass shooting, and who miraculously became a multimillionaire over.
Santos also denying reports he let a dog die after allegations he promised to help raise money for a dog's life-saving surgery and kept the money for himself. Santos calling the claims shocking and insane.
ABC News learning the FBI is investigating whether George Santos was involved in an animal charity scam.
Are you worried about being prosecuted?
I have no clue. I don't know what it's about.
Santos denying any wrongdoing when questioned by ABC News' Will Staken.
They talk to you more than they talk to me. I haven't been reached out by them, so I can't comment.
But Navy veteran Richard Ostoff alleges the New York congressman stole $3,000, money that Santos promised would help his dying service dog.
I don't ever want to see another person, especially a veteran, go through something like this again.
Ostoff telling us federal authorities contacted him as part of their probe, saying, "I'm glad to get the ball rolling with the bigwigs." He says when his dog Sapphire had a tumor, a veterinarian technician referred him to a pet charity run by Santos. But ABC News has reported that charity never existed. Ostoff says Santos suddenly stopped responding to his messages, never turning over a penny. His dog Sapphire passed away less than a year later.
I was suicidal again after she went. I needed that dog.
Santos denied he ever met Ostoff.
He claimed he never met me, and I never met him. It's on the record.
But a source close to GoFundMe confirmed the account belonged to Santos. Sources say federal prosecutors and the New York Attorney General, both investigating Santos, are looking into the charity.
I've never presented anything other than what my means allow me to. So I've never had to establish or present falsehoods pertaining to my own finances. I'm the first one to say, not doing that, can't afford it. You know, I have no issues saying when I can and can't do things. I have no issues limiting my ability to write a check, whether it's for charity or for a political engagement. No, it's not false at all. It's debatable. I can sit down and explain to you what you can do in private equity, in capital intro, via servicing limited partners and general partners. And we can have this discussion that's going to go way above the American people's head. But that's not what I campaigned on.
This is not about settling scores, and I think you just kind of highlighted, I think, my concern and the concern that people at home have. You're saying that this discussion will go way above the heads of the American people, basically insulting their intelligence. So not only are you now backtracking on these lies that you've told, but you're saying that you can't explain it in a way that your constituents would actually be able to understand.
I can explain it in a way
and that
if you
these
give
lies
me,
are
if
debatable.
you give me the time, I can easily if you give me the time, I can easily explain it for you.
Not just one little lie or one little embellishment. These are blatant lies. My question is, do you have no shame? Do you have no shame in the people who are now you're asking to trust you to go and be their voice for them, their families, and their kids in Washington?
Tulsi, I can say the same thing about the Democrats and the party. Look at Joe Biden. Joe Biden's been lying to the American people for 40 years. He's the president of the United States. Democrats resoundingly support him. Do they have no shame?
You defended your wrongdoings by pointing to the fact that your political adversaries have lied to, like President Joe Biden.
And I stand corrected on that statement. One thing doesn't excuse the other. Just because the president of the United States is a 40-year career pathological liar doesn't make it okay for anyone else to go out and do that. That was a terrible line. I don't know what the hell I'm saying here. So to try to even articulate, look, Joe Biden is a 40-year-long career pathological liar. He's the president of the United States. That does not make it okay to lie. And I've learned my lesson, and I can guarantee you that from now on, anything and everything is always going to be above board. It's largely always been above board. I'm just going to go the extra step now to double check, cross-reference everything.
You seem
I'm not
angry.
Not angry at all.
Are you sorry?
I've said I was sorry many times. I've behaved as if I'm sorry. Look, if you want to compare emotions, people show emotions differently. I am sorry. I'm deeply sorry. I've fielded calls. I've been calling supporters to apologize directly to them for that. And, you know, I don't know what is asked of me right now. When you ask, oh, you have not shown remorse or you don't seem to look sorry. I don't know what looking sorry looks like to you, Caitlin.
The prevailing opinion out there right now from your voters is that they have not heard a sincere apology from you yet.
The thing is, Congressman-elect, integrity means, yes, carrying yourself with honor, but it means telling the truth, being a person of integrity. And
about it, everybody just wants to push me and call me a liar. Look, I embellished my resume.
Santos,
I did.
Congressman-elect Santos, we've given you a lot of time, I think, the time that is owed is to the people of New York's 3rd. It's hard to imagine how they could possibly trust your explanations when you're not really even willing to admit the depth of your deception to them. Thank you so much.
Honestly, no. When it came to light, I sat there and I said, damn it.